right. Good afternoon. This is Bobby Flynn, and I'm just your background producer here with Otto and James, the Urbane Prospectors of Gotham. And this afternoon, these two prospectors will be letting us know what to do when we get lost in New York. So with that, I hand it over to James and Otto, and you might want to give your audience a brief refresher on who it is that you are and why you're here.
Okay. The topic for today is what is it about getting lost in
Yes.
New York?
Yeah, you lost.
What to do? We get lost in New York.
Well, you know what actually for New York is getting lost can be a good thing, believe it or not.
How
Um,
so?
how so? First of all, I'm James Goodrich. I'm a writer and I guess resident B movie um authority.
Yes.
But hey, no, what it is back in the day, growing up, some of us in the neighborhood would actually get on the train and just ride. Okay, you would just ride. You close your eyes, you pick a train to get on, and that helped you with getting to know New York City.
Okay, but what if you're just visiting and you don't have time to be just riding all over the city and getting lost? What happens if we only have like, a week or so of New York? We got it planned out, where we want to go and stuff like that. And we find ourselves, somebody says, yeah, you just get on a train and you go to such and such to Manhattan. And so we find
Right,
ourselves on a train and it's saying that we're going to, I don't know, Coney Island. So
right.
now
Well,
we're not in Manhattan. So
uh
what are
huh.
you supposed to do?
Well, but believe it or not, sometimes you will get New Yorkers that get confused when they get on the subway. Case in point, and wherever this lady is, I apologize, but going to work, got on the Q train, going to Brooklyn. This lady is asking directions to get to an address in Canal Street, and so she asks me, and she says, "I want to get to Canal Street. How do I get to Manhattan?" I said, Scoobly Doo, you're already in Manhattan. Oh well, how did I get to Canal Street? And I hate to say, but I kinda did a auto move.
No.
Okay, no, I didn't. No, I didn't do it on purpose. See, with me, when you ask for directions, I will tell you how to get there, but I will say send you to a certain train to make sure that you get there. So I told her get off at 57th Street, get off the queue, catch the N train. The N train will take you down the Canal Street, no problem. When she got off the train and the train started to move, it started to go. I was like jumping Jiminy. She could have stayed on the queue.
Oh no.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
My bad. Did I do that?
Oh
I'm
no.
I'm sorry. But to tell you guys the truth, it's gotten worse as technology has gotten better because you have people that have phones, they have GPS, they've updated the train map in the cars. In fact, it's more brighter and it's not done by kind of like the actual mass design, to make it simpler.
Hmm.
But tourists being tourists, but I excuse my French, still fuck up.
Yeah.
They still fuck up.
And these new people that are permanent residents,
Oh
not just tourists.
yeah, not just tourists. The hipsters, the gentrification people, the recently come from Iowa people,
Ohio.
recently come from Ohio, North Carolina. With all this technology, you still don't know where you're going.
No, they still don't know.
Still don't know.
And Penelope, yeah, I agree with James. That's one of the fun things about being a New Yorker. And when James said that, that just brought back so many floods of memories of getting on a train in New York, and just riding from end to end.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a like a baptism that I just forgot about it until he said something.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you don't know where you're going. You're not necessarily lost, but you don't have a destination in mind. You're just seeing what happens and seeing, how do you get back to where you started from, kind of thing. And that's how you learn. A lot of
Yeah.
times that's how you learn. Um, but from some people, like if they're asking me how to get to Canal Street, number one, kudos to them for calling it Canal Street instead of Canal Street or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so kudos to them. But then if you asking me how to get to Canal Street, or Coney Island, you might wind up on Long Island, because I'm gonna tell you, it's like, if you go below ground, if you're walking in New York and you go below ground, you should know, to me,
Really?
because you should know what train to take and stuff. And then, the thing is, I'm sitting next to you, and I'm like not the person to ask. Don't ask me. I got
Why
places to
not?
go and things to do, because you got the person you bought your what you call it, your card, your Metro card from, right?
Right.
You got the conductor who I presume, since I haven't been on a train in New York in a while, is in the fourth car, or third or
Yeah.
fourth car of the train. You can ask them,
Yeah.
him or her.
Mhm.
There's still their maps still on the subway train, on the train. So you're gonna ask me? You're going for the potpourri. It's like Jim being on
You're-
Jeopardy and going for the potpourri.
it's so it's like asking the devil.
Right, right. Because yeah, because you know what? It's like, sometimes I do it on purpose. No mean spirited thing, and sometimes I do it by accident. It's like, like you, James. Like, oh shit, I told her the wrong train to take. She didn't take the F train. Oh
She
damn.
could have
Oh
stayed
well.
on the train she was on to
You could
get
stay
to
the
Yes.
where
train.
she's going.
Yeah, I'm like, you could have. I told her to take like the A, and then the D, and then the whatever train, the 7 or whatever. And then I
Mhm.
told, oh shit, I told that in wrong sequence.
Mm.
She, like,
Okay, okay, all right, right, all right. Now, when you say this, and just now you were saying, Otto, that you haven't taken the train in a long time. So James is currently still a resident of the city, and you are,
I'm
uh,
a former resident,
right,
lifelong, born and raised, and then left and come back frequently, sometimes infrequently.
right. But James, you are living there now, and Otto, this is your recollections of living there, correct?
Correct. But yeah, correct. And just like James, I'm in the bowels of the city.
That's right.
The bowels of the city. So it's like stuff we do on purpose, and like James said, some of the good things about being lost, not necessarily being lost, but exploring the city. You never know
Yeah.
what you're going to see. You
It,
never
it,
know what you're going to, and,
yeah.
and you found new routes or quicker routes that the stupid conductor told me to take the A train and go and switch off to some other train. That's like the slowest route possible. know?
Mm.
And now I found another route that involves an express train, and I'm thinking in my mind, what a dumb mf'er. He told me to take the slowest route to get to where I gotta be. But then
What?
I found a quicker route.
Mhm.
I found it on my own, right,
Mm-hmm.
by accident. So there's that. But if you get lost, I think if you get lost and you really lost and you run into people like me and not like James, if you get really lost, there's certain trains that are, I call them, how do you refer to them? I guess kind of uh center trains, right? But take you to places that are centered to New York, that everybody
Yeah.
knows. You're gonna run into somebody that's gonna give you the right direction. They're gonna give you the right information that you're gonna write down. And one of them is like 42nd Street Station, right?
Oh yeah.
42nd, one of the busiest train stations I can imagine.
Hmm.
Maybe in the country, maybe the world, I don't know, but it's huge. It's a huge station. All the trains come that converge there, or connections converge there.
Hmm.
You can get all the information that you want to get. So you are, if you take the plunge and go underground
Hmm.
through the subway, 42nd Street is one of those stations. Is one of those stations that a bunch of cops there for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
So that's the information station.
Yeah. With okay. First of all, with 42nd Street, right? If somebody asks me for directions and I'm not sure, I tell them, listen, go get off at 42nd Street, and that's your base.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In fact, I would say 42nd Street, like Otto said, is is basically the ground zero.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
the hub. It's the
centerpiece.
hub.
It's the hub. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, you right now in the subway when you get on the platform, they even have digital video advertisement now. Plus, they will show you the route that the train you're gonna get on is going. Plus, you have a map.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Plus, you have other ways to find other ways of getting it. Oh, you have on all stations a intercom system. Okay. Red button is for emergencies. Blue button is just you know for regular information. You press it and you ask, when's the next train coming, or how do I get from point A to point B, and they have like a command center that will ask you questions.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works most of the time.
Most of the time. So
Most
what
of
is
the
that?
time,
It's gonna,
unless you're on at one of the stations that are like the outer boroughs,
Mm-hmm.
then most of the time you will have to wait until somebody picks up, especially 3 o'clock in the morning.
right. So if
Okay.
you press the button, you get served by a homeless individual who comes to you.
No,
How can I help you? Can I help you?
they no, well, the people in the command center, the help center, they get pissed because sometimes the homeless people will press the blue button. You
What do
know,
they do when they push the button?
talk gibberish. They'll press the button and the person come on and say, "May I help you?" And they're like, "Well, where's the best place to buy some crack on 149th Street or something like that?" And now
Yeah.
with with conductors, I found out that if it's a conductor that's doing his thing on the N train line, that if you ask them about the 4, the 5, or the 6 train or something, they don't know. They don't know because they're focused on the N train. Okay, so anything outside of that, they have to recollect, they have to remember, or they'll tell you straight up, go to 42nd Street.
Yeah, which
You
gets
know
me
what I'm saying?
mad. Which gets me mad because the thing is, it's like I could have done that myself. I know that, right? I know that, but I would tell you something else. Having taken the mass transit in other cities, anything
Hmm.
that person, that conductor tells you is going to be better than what you encounter in other cities. For instance, taking the mass transit in Dallas,
Right.
I'll ask a person driving a bus, and I've always known bus drivers to be like on point. They know exactly what street to go to. They know
Hmm.
what businesses they pass.
Mm-hmm.
They know where schools are. They know everything. And so you ask a bus driver, for instance, in Dallas about, is this where I get off for, IBM business or whatever? They'll say, I had no idea. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, they're honest and stupid. They're honest
Mm-hmm.
about their stupidity. They just drive the bus, and the bus is almost automated because the the buses in Dallas, they'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you what stop it is. Like they'll
Yeah.
say you know West Davis Street or something like that. But the bus
Mm-hmm.
driver has no clue, absolutely no clue where they're driving.
Wow. Yeah, and I guess they figure, the technology. Why should they bother? But one thing I will say about bus drivers in New York, if you ask that bus driver, where can I get off, or what street is like in Brooklyn? I want to get to Strauss Street or Hendrick Street. They'll tell you. The bus drivers are very knowledgeable. In fact,
They're
I
very
would say
good.
I would say they're probably more knowledgeable than the train conductors.
I agree. I agree. And so that leads into, if you're going to if you happen to find yourself lost, hopefully you'll get lost on a bus and not the train.
Yeah, yeah, true that,
Okay, well, I
true
have a
that,
question.
true
Since
that.
I'm a person that is
Um,
not from any of those
mhm,
places, let's say, for instance, all right, I am in Brooklyn, right? And then somebody says, okay, you have to go to this place, and it's in Manhattan, and you're going to take, a train. You're going to try to get to where you're going.
right.
If you find out, like you're trying to take your train, and you're trying to get to Manhattan, wherever it is you're supposed to go to Manhattan, and then somebody tells you, well, no, that's not where you are. You're somewhere in the Bronx or something. How do you get yourself returned around? I know you say to take the 40, go to 42nd Street Station, but can you get there from any of the places on the in the line, no matter what borough you're in, or do you have to take buses to get to it once you get
You-
to
uh,
certain boroughs?
well, 42nd Street, you all the trains, except for maybe the L, which goes across Manhattan on 14th Street. You could pretty much get to 42nd Street. Now the problem is what side of 42nd Street? Okay, because the IRT, which we used to call the IRT, Interborough Rapid Transit, those are the number trains. Okay, so and even with that, you have the 1 and 2 on the west side, the 4, 5, and 6 on the east side. Then the letter trains, the A and the C are over on the west side, while the B and D are heading towards the east side. Um, you better find out where you're going, because if you got to go to say Lexington and 42nd Street, right, and
Hmm.
you're on the A train, you're screwed
Oh,
Well,
because now
okay.
also
you
if you're in Brooklyn and you want to go to someplace in Manhattan and you're on the train and you wind up in the Bronx, you may have fallen asleep
yeah.
because that's the only way you're gonna
Oh, you're
wind up
drunk. Yeah, you
there. Yeah.
and
Okay.
and I've had that happen to me. Somebody, and see, this is what I hate about some people. You come up to me, say you end up in the Bronx, you was partying, you're drunk, you woke up, you ask me how to get to such and such, and I tell you, you're gonna stand there and say, "Well, no, that doesn't sound right to me."
Oh
And
And,
then
yeah,
why did
the
you
person will
ask
and,
ask for
me?
directions and then argues with you.
yeah, argue with you. And you know what? You know what my answer to that usually is? And
What?
I've almost got into fights. My answer is, well, you know what? I know where I'm going. Okay.
So
I
you
one
better than
time,
me. You better than me. When I encounter those people, I just turn my head and walk away. It's
but
basically like fuck you. You're on your own.
Yeah, yeah, and
Wow.
yeah,
Are
What
you
because
if
gonna
you
argue
okay,
with
okay,
me?
wait a minute. Like think of it this way. All right, like for myself, I'm a non-New Yorker person. And if I'm in New York and somebody says, okay, um, I realize I'm going in the wrong direction. I realize I'm not on the right train or whatever. And I come to you and I say, hey, mister, do you know how to get to such and such a place? Because I think I'm going the wrong way. And then
right,
you start like giving me these directions and stuff, which you say already, Otto, that you would do and give people wrong directions. Now, when I
Occasionally,
say that
occasionally
occasionally, now if you're telling me some
depends.
directions, and in my mind, I'm listening to you, so that don't make any kind of sense at all, what you just told me. And I challenge it, so I'm in the wrong because you're telling me and I gotta, jump
Yeah,
off on Unicorn Row, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I said, what? I mean, I know many things, but I know there's no Unicorn Row anywhere near
Yeah.
where
I'm
I'm
not gonna tell
going.
you any. Listen, here's the thing. Depending on
unicorn
depending on the
road.
mood that I'm in. I could give if
Uh-huh.
if I'm in a hurry. I may wave my arm in a general direction or give you something while I'm passing you by, or I may stop and give you
Mhm.
actual directions, depending on what mood I'm in. I mean, I'm in a hurry or not, right?
Well, I could understand that because somebody the
But
other
if you
day,
if you if you're gonna question and argue
yeah.
with me about the mood, whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, I'm walking away from you.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
I know the other day I was at the mall, and I don't go there too much, but I was there at the mall, and this woman came to me and asked me about how to get to a certain store. And I was sitting there, and I had to give me more to get my bearings. I said, well, basically, from either direction, you're as far away from that store as you could be right now. I mean, it's like being somewhere on the second floor near Nordstrom, and they wanted to be in Dillard's. So it's like basically you're going to make an L going either from there or an L if you go the other way going toward, Neiman Marcus. So I
okay.
tried to explain to this chick, and she just walks off. I said, well, you know what? Good luck to you. That's just like just at the
Exactly,
exact opposite end of
exactly.
any possible. I mean, there's no good way to get to wherever it is she's trying to get to.
That's not what she wanted to hear.
I mean, well, she's parked in the wrong place. So, I guess what I should have said is like, if you're parked anywhere near here, you need to get back in your car and drive around to the side of the mall.
Yeah, well, again, my thing is, what the hell are you asking me for directions if I give you the directions and now you want to debate me about the directions?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, why you do this? Like, listen, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, how about this, for instance? Okay, I am in, let's say, Manhattan, right? I'm go visit somebody on 125th Street or something.
You're at 125th Street, and you're in Harlem, and so people always think that other places in Manhattan are not Manhattan, as James said. You're
Yeah,
still in Manhattan.
right, right. I'm in Manhattan, 125th
Hmm.
Street, and I want to go, for instance, to the Statue of Liberty. So how do I do that?
If
Depends on
you're 125th Street,
Yep.
what I would tell you is, depending on what side of 125th Street you're on, if you're close to the number one train, get on the number one, stay on it to the last stop.
Okay.
That will take you to was it Whitehall
yeah.
South Ferry, and all you got to do is just go upstairs, and the ferry terminal is right there.
And
Or
that
Okay.
or
takes
what I
you.
would say,
Mhm.
to you is make it simple for simple-minded people like myself. To get your ass on the A train and take it to where the what is it? Not J Street. No, what's the stop before you get headed to Brooklyn? What's the stop before Brooklyn?
Before Brooklyn,
Yeah, before you
on
hit
the
Brooklyn or
A
the A train.
train,
Yeah, what
that's
is it?
High Street.
Yeah, so get off there. You're in Lower Manhattan. There you are. And you get
No,
off.
I'm sorry. No, High Street. That's the first stop in the Brooklyn. The last
Yeah,
stop in the last stop on the A train
for I want
is
to get Lower Manhattan, so I want to get to like damn, what is it? It's not Lafayette. It's
No.
But before you get to J Street Borough Hall, man, what is the street? What is the stop?
Oh well, J Street Borough Hall is either the York Street or High Street in Brooklyn.
Okay, so
Okay,
I'm gonna get to Lower Manhattan.
Low Manhattan.
I'm taking the A. I'm taking the A.
You catch it to the first stop is Chambers. Chambers.
Okay, so I
Fulton
get to
Street.
Chambers Street. I go to
Mhm.
Chambers Street, and then I'm in Lower Manhattan, and that's
Right.
where the ferry is.
Yeah, but you would have to walk. You would have to walk a bunch of blocks south back
You get your ass
towards.
up and walk.
Yeah, well, they could
Because
do
the
that.
GPS doesn't work as far as I know. Tell me if I'm wrong. It don't work in the subway.
Even with that, you got the help button. You got maps. You got all of that. So the only thing I would tell you to stay away from when it
Uh-huh.
comes to MTA is try and stay away from. If you go online to MTA's site
Mm-hmm.
and you put in for the trip planner,
Mm-hmm.
don't
Really?
no the trip
Why would you do that?
because they will give you the trip planner. You put in first where you're coming from. Then you
Right.
put in your destination,
Right.
right? It will give you different options of how to get to where you're going, but some of those options don't make no kind of freaking sense.
Let me stop
Okay.
you right there.
Hmm.
What kind of person would use that that app, that resource to plan a trip?
I
Let's
would
say you will use that.
if they have it online and say
I would
this is
never
how you
do.
can
No,
I don't
I
care
plan
what
your
city
trip.
I'm
I
in. I
would
would
do
never
it.
use it. I would never
no
use
I no I would tell you why I used it. Okay, year before last, as you guys know, I
Mm-hmm.
worked for NYCHA, and it was changing companies,
Mm-hmm.
right? The company that I was with, they lost the contract. A new company took over. The new the new company that took over, I had to. They gave me the address. They're based right outside, right near JFK. Whoa. Okay, so I'm
That's
like,
far.
listen, yeah. Tell me about it. So I'm like, okay, I really don't know. And being that it's Queens, no offense to Queens people, I got to find out precisely where to go. So I
Right.
put in the trip planner. I had to take the E to Sut. That's another street that people have a problem pronouncing. It's either Supfin or Supton Avenue. Sutphin. Okay,
Okay.
it's way out there, Jamaica Center.
I know what the hell
So
that is. Southern. What is that?
something
Son, I don't know what that is.
I
Queens
know.
is
I
messed up, man.
that's
I let them to themselves, man.
I know. I know. They need to be to themselves because they do it to themselves.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it told me to okay, take the E, then I get off and go upstairs to catch the Queens 103, and it'll take me to Guy Brewer Boulevard, and then I could just walk to where this office is located. Bullshit.
Well, what
What I
happened?
what happened was I got up, I took the E, went upstairs, caught the 103. This bus took me on a grand tour of Queens.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. Then when it got to Guy Brewer
Yes.
Boulevard, I had to walk like almost 2 freaking miles to get to the office. And guess what? When I got to the office, what should show up but the Q6 bus.
Yeah.
Which, mind you, I saw the Q6 bus
Go right past you.
right when I came out the train station.
Yeah.
It was right down the block. I said,
Well, let me tell you
Mississippi,
something.
goddamn.
Let me tell you something, fellow New Yorker. Whenever I see, whenever somebody give me directions and it's a train,
Hmm.
that I got to get off that train and then catch a bus, I'm suspicious already. I'm suspicious already. I'm suspicious. I'm thinking buses and trains don't work together that well. So I'm thinking that I need to, when I get off the train,
Hmm.
I need to, even if it passes a stop that they're telling me to get off on, I need to be the closest that I need to be to my destination so I can walk. Because I'm suspicious of transferring or getting from a train and then walking up and taking a bus.
I
I
wouldn't.
just I don't
I
trust
would. I wouldn't say it's suspicious. With me, it's a fear.
it. Yeah, yeah,
It's a fear because it's almost like if you don't make that connection, you're gonna be catapulted out into
yeah,
space.
yeah,
And you're
yeah. I don't.
gonna
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, listen, whatever mode that I'm taking, I'm staying on that MF. Okay. So if I'm taking a bus, I'm staying
Mhm.
bus. If I'm taking train, I stay train. So if I think it's like, getting off at, let's say, 75th Street, and the train doesn't stop at 75th Street, it stops at
Mhm.
85th Street or something, I'm going past that. I'm going past, whatever, and then I'm walking the rest of the way because I don't trust the damn bus went past you. It's the
And
right
you know,
bus. You could have
and
saved so much time.
mind you, some people in New York, they have to deal with that every day because you have parts of New York that are called two fare zones.
Yeah.
Okay, like if you're in the North Bronx, like Eastchester and or Woodlawn and all that there, and you maybe live across the border in Yonkers or Mount Vernon, you gotta pay twice. You gotta
See,
pay twice.
I'm not liking that at all. That
Yeah.
would that would that wouldn't that wouldn't register with me at all. And so, you know, if you ride in the subway and the train says, okay, now you need directions say you now you need to go up, and now you need to catch the whatever bus, the Q, whatever. Nah, man, I'm getting to it. Even if even if I have to walk, and that's the same. I think Penelope, we went to Madam Alexander. Remember that
Yeah. Yep.
we were
Walk.
supposed to get off at West, and we kept missing that damn stop.
Yep. Every time. Every time. And I don't mean almost every time. Every time we miss, and then you look up and you see the traffic. What the? How do we end up here without being on a form of transportation?
Yeah.
Walking the street like this.
But you know what? I'd rather walk that little bit of. To me, it wasn't that far. We had to go through I forgot what park we had to go through. I think maybe
Mm-hmm.
Bryant Park. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe.
somewhere.
Yeah, and so we had to walk, but I don't mind it. But you're not gonna get me on no damn strange ass bus that never stops. You know, it just keep rolling forever. It's like, and then the bus is gonna keep going, and I pass my destination, and it doesn't
Well,
stop.
actually, that happened to me, but it worked out for the best. Okay,
Wow.
because see, there's a couple of ways I could go home at night, and one night I don't know what's the matter with the B60 bus driver heading towards Fulton train station, or rather Rockaway Avenue train station. He just drove right past me,
Whoa.
and I'm like, oh fuck, man. So I said, okay, this other bus, the B12. So I'm like, I get on the B12, and I'm like, excuse me. I said, what's the closest train station on your route? He said the Q. I said, oh, that's beautiful. That's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
So I get on the bus, and we're riding, and we're riding,
Right.
and we're riding, and we're making turns. Then we're making turns. I'm like, oh my god,
And then
where's he
start going
taking me?
backward and shit.
Yeah, because at one point the bus heads further down in the South Brooklyn. Like, oh my God, what is he? And so I'm like, I go up to him. I say, "Are you sure the Q train is stops here?" He said, "Don't worry, don't worry. I got
Mhm.
you." I'm sitting
Okay.
there, and we riding, and we ride. I'm like, "Oh man, I ain't get home till midday. I'm gonna be lost in Brooklyn." But the last stop, see what he didn't tell me was the last stop was Parkside Avenue, and the Q train was right across the street.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I was like, "Thank you, Jesus, boy."
Yeah, he can tell you, yeah, because you're nervous. You're nervous. You're so nervous that you sit in that front seat next, with the people who are
Yeah.
you sit in that front seat next to the bus.
Yeah,
And people are old people and disabled people are trying to get that seat. And so I'm not giving up the seat. I got to sit right here and make
Hmm.
sure this bus driver know I'm here so he can tell me where to get the hell off. Because
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not giving up the seat. I'm sorry, miss.
yeah.
I know
Uh-huh.
you're 9 months pregnant, but I'm sorry.
Well,
But yeah,
brother.
usually when you see somebody that doesn't belong in the first couple of seats in there, that means that you know, they want this bona fide. They
Yeah,
want,
because
Yeah.
you
the
know
bus
what I'm
driver
saying?
forget you. He'll forget you. He
Oh
or she
yeah,
forget you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot, man. You supposed to get off at that last stop.
Yeah. Thanks.
I just let you off here in the middle of a bridge.
Well, I have
listen,
a
no,
question now. You all are
yeah.
because you all are natives and grew up there. What is the worst lost you have ever been in the city?
Oh, the worst loss
Hmm.
I have ever been probably when I first moved into Brooklyn. Okay. I was in Williamsburg, South Side, South Third Street. So I said, okay, since I'm a Brooklynite now. I'm a
Hmm.
Brooklynite. So I'm gonna take a little stroll through the neighborhood, see how things are, you know what I'm saying? So I'm walking, and I get down to what's it, Washington Clinton or Clinton Washington,
Hmm.
and then I make a turn and I walk and walk it. Then I end up back on the same street. I'm like, fuck, what is going on here? You start thinking you in a Twilight Zone
Yeah.
episode and shit where this man is doomed to walk forever.
Yep.
You know, so, so I'm walking,
Hmm.
and all the thing was missing was the old guy at the corner saying, "Going my way."
Wow.
So it got to the point where I was totally confused. I'm like, fuck, how where did how am I gonna get home? So, but here's what happened. I looked across towards Manhattan and I saw the Citibank building.
Hmm.
Now, the apartment that I had, it had a view of across Manhattan, the Citibank building, or
Oh,
Citibank City Corp rather. That's the building that you don't want to be walking there because it's also a threat of the shit collapsing too. To tell you the truth,
oh, oh, that's great. Huh?
it's a dead ass, just like that 425 Park Avenue abomination that they built.
It's a leaning building.
Yeah, you got another one further down in Manhattan too that they just shut that building down. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go old school. I'm just gonna focus on the Citibank building, walk towards it, okay, and that's probably gonna give me an approximate,
Hmm.
you know, location of South Third, which I did. I walked north and maybe a little bit to the east, and I got home.
Wow. How long did it take?
Oh, it took me about maybe half an hour, 40 minutes.
That's not
That's
You
not
bad.
know,
bad.
That's
nah, it's
not
not
bad.
that bad, but it's just that like I said, I'm starting to panic now.
Yeah.
You
Let's
know,
see. Let's see. The thing in Brooklyn though is that it may take you a while. It take you more than half an hour, I think. But when you're like, 19, 20 years old, time is
oh
of no
yeah,
matter.
yeah,
Hmm.
So it's like if I'm in Bedford Stuyvesant and I see and I'm lost and I see a street, I know the thing about Brooklyn is you could walk that street all the way from Bedford Stuyvesant into New York, into East New York, right, or near Bushwick. So if I'm near Halsey Street and I see Halsey Street, there's a street I know. I
Mm-hmm.
just keep walking. Halsey Street never changes.
Really?
It remains Halsey Street all the way through to East New York. It stays
Yeah,
the same. And so
yeah,
that's that comfort. It's like I'm on the right path. It's just going to take me a long time to get there. But it's
Yeah.
not like all of a sudden Halsey Street turns into Geronimo Avenue or some shit like that.
yeah.
So it's a little bit of comfort. You know, I know in Manhattan sometimes streets turn to other streets. You know,
Yeah, oh,
it's a little
oh,
more difficult for me to navigate Manhattan than it is for me to navigate Brooklyn.
well, none for none. You have some streets in Brooklyn. I found out kind of the hard way that, like, okay, Clarkson, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get on Clarkson heading east. Once you cross the street, it turns into Woodruff.
You mean
Okay.
near Kings County Hospital?
Right, right. You know Clarkson runs along Kings County, but at one point Clarkson stops and Woodruff starts to head towards Ocean Avenue.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
that's another
then
street. See, I'm comfortable with that because that's another street I know.
yeah,
So I just
yeah,
keep going.
yeah. Well, see, with me, I never freaking heard of Woodruff's. I heard of
Mhm.
Clarkson, but I was like, dag nabbit with Woodruff's.
Yeah, it just turns into another street that I know. I mean, if it
Yeah,
turns into another street that I know, I'm good. I'm still walking and walking and walking.
and then I noticed that it's weird because, correct me if I'm wrong, East New York Avenue, right?
Uh huh.
Mhm.
If maybe it's me, maybe it's because I go home at night in the darkness, but it seems like East New York Avenue crosses back and forth over like Empire Boulevard or some.
Well, once again, you're near Crown Heights and if you're going to Empire, right?
Right, right.
At Clarkson. So
Hmm.
East New York, I don't know where the hell you at.
Yeah, East New York Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying
I
it changes for you?
it crosses over. One crosses over the other.
I think with people here East New York, they have a certain mindset about it when they
You
hear
Oh,
know,
East
that's
New
the other
York.
thing I was going to ask you. We talked about going down Halsey Street. It remains Halsey all the way down, all the way through. But when you're walking these streets, are you crossing through different neighborhoods as you're
Oh
doing it?
yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah. I remember I forgot when my sister moved, and I got kind of lost, and she gave me money to take the bus, and I said, "No, this is good money. I'm gonna keep it in my pocket." So I kept walking. I kept walking through like Williamsburg, and I kept walking through like a Hasidic. It's a Hasidic neighborhood. I walked through
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I kept
Oh, yeah.
going. I just kept on going because that
Yeah.
money in my pocket was better to me than holes in my shoes. So I kept moving.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
you walk through several neighborhoods, and the thing about it is, there used to be a meme in New York, I guess, where black people, especially if you walked in the wrong neighborhood, so-called wrong neighborhood, that you were subject to harassment or maybe even bodily harm or something. I can't say that I know anybody who experienced any of that. I've never experienced that. There may have been different circumstances. The media wants to portray a story or a certain, you know,
Mhm.
reflection of
Right.
New York. I
Well,
don't know anything like that at
well,
all.
I've experienced situations like that a couple of times.
Mhm.
Okay, because there was a time when in the Bronx, okay, you go to Westchester Square, you do your shopping, all of that, but Westchester Square actually became like a sundown town.
Mm.
Okay, where the Irish and Italians up there did not want you walking around Westchester Square after dark.
But what
Okay,
the hell is there? What is there that I want?
they see that's the whole thing. They didn't care. You could have been walking arm in arm with Jesus Christ.
But what is? But why would I go there? Then what I'm saying is,
Oh,
I'm in neighborhoods. I'm in neighborhoods because either my school is there,
hmm,
or I have a summer job there, or I have a
right.
job there, or I'm going shopping there, like I'm going to the Lansing Street or something like that. If you
Yeah,
don't have
what?
shit, if you don't have shit, in your neighborhood, I'm not going in there.
Well, that's what it was. Is people went there shopping.
Mm.
I remember a really good record store up there. Okay, but it's just that at night things changed over. In fact, mm, I'll get into the story in depth maybe at a later date.
Hmm.
But that's where my brother and a couple of other gang members got arrested because it was a big brouhaha at our junior high school. The white gang said that they were going to clean the junior high school out of us on a certain day. They was coming. The ministers was the name of their gang. So a couple of the gangs, black and Hispanic gangs, came together and to counteract that. Okay, and somebody had got word that the president of the ministers, a white guy named Green Glass, he liked to hang out with his crew at Westchester Square. He would send his minions out to do this and that and this, that, but that's where he would hang out with his girlfriend. So, long story short, that was an issue. Then, when I lived in Brooklyn, you had Broadway, right?
Yeah, Broadway.
Once you cross over Broadway, because see, I was a minority within a minority. Okay, I was I was on South Third, but South Third was predominantly Puerto Rican. In fact,
Mm.
they called it the Little Ponce because most of the blacks in that part of town were like black Puerto Ricans. But it was, it was cool. But one day I went to crossed over on the other side into the Hasidic side, and it's not like any Hasidic confronted me, anything like that. But it was like
Mm.
all eyes were on me. You
Wow.
know what I'm saying? I could feel them staring at me. I remember some Hasidic man in a Cadillac came riding by and yelled something at me.
In the city, yeah, in the Yiddish or something. It's in it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's
Uh,
Schwarzer.
you spot the you know what I'm saying? Um, so and like I said, no, it wasn't like a gang of Hasidics came and was gonna beat me up, a la
I think
Jets
you
and
know what I
Jaws.
think. I know what I think though. I never encountered that. I walked through this scenic neighborhood, like I said,
Hmm.
through there. I think for people to do something like a bunch of people to like jump on you, it like had to be a perfect storm. It's like hey guys, a black guy walking through. Let's
Well,
meet and let's just get him before he walks out of the neighborhood.
well,
Because
I, I,
I'm not worth the effort. I'm really not worth the effort. I'm not.
well, like I said, it was never really any hostility. In fact, me and a friend of mine, we were coming. I had brought a futon, and we were bringing it back. Not a futon. I had brought some pillows.
Hmm.
You just moved in. You want to get
Hmm.
your stuff up. So me and my friend, we walked. We took a leisurely walk around the Navy Yard on the Kent Street, and we're gonna head over on the my side of Broadway. We walked right. I kid you not. We walked right in the middle of a Hasidic rumble.
Oh my goodness.
What?
It was Hasidic on Hasidic.
Wow.
What it was the sect that lived in that part of Brooklyn. What's the word? A schism.
Mm.
Um, it was a split
The schism.
because
Yeah.
A
a
schism.
schism.
A
Yeah,
Yeah.
schism. Mm.
because the head rabbi that was their leader had passed away.
Mm.
One faction wanted to actually put his wife in charge of everything, and the other
Oh
side
no.
was
Mm-mm.
more, yeah, it was more traditional. They was throwing stuff at each other.
Wow.
For a couple of weeks they were busting down each other's doors,
Damn.
Oh my
fighting and all
God.
that.
They was throwing
So
down.
at one point they was throwing stuff and yelling in Yiddish across the street at each other and shaking their fists. And I was like, you know what? They ain't paying attention to us.
No, they don't care about you.
Mhm.
They don't care about us, so we keep it moving. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But getting back to with directions, I've believe it or not, I've actually had a lifelong resident of Brooklyn swear that he thought, and I don't know how he came up with this, that after you cross 125th Street, the rest of that is the Bronx.
What?
Yeah, I kid you not.
How'd he come up with that?
I don't know. I wish I was able to take a breathalyzer test on him. I was like, dude, what? He's like, nah, after. Oh, he said after. I'm sorry, not 125th, 155th.
155th. Okay.
Yeah,
All
Washington
right.
High. I said, dude, that's still Manhattan. What are you,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it still is. It
you
still is.
know,
So is a if you're above ground, right?
right?
You're below ground. You're gonna go to like the main centers of commerce in New York. You're gonna go to 42nd Street. You're gonna go to 34th,
Mm-hmm.
Penn Station, or someplace like that. You're gonna find out, and somebody's gonna give you the right directions. Who's in authority? That's not me.
Okay,
Okay.
here we go.
But so if you're above ground, who do you go to try to find out where the hell? Instead of running into a random person who's hopefully is not me. If you're above
But
ground, where do you go?
well, usually with that, if you're dressed in like you listen, you can have on a semi. You could be dressed like you're working in Walmart's or Home Depot, and people will come to you because they figure you're in a uniform or something. He should know. That's just like I wear with my pants, security pants. They're like cargo pants. A lot of people mistake me for working for transit
Hmm.
because transit people, whether no matter what, they wear cargo pants too. So people come to me, um, any type of police officer, believe it or not, the coffee carts
Hmm.
and the vanishing hot dog carts, people will go to them and ask them for direction, which is
Uh,
not
um,
good because 99 out of 10 times the person in that coffee or hot dog cart just got here.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, and they'll try to sell you a what is it? What is the thing they try to Penelope instead of ask for a condition, I got a what you
You get
call
falafel.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you would be hard pressed to find a knish being sold out of even with the hot dog carts. Even the hot dog carts, half the time they don't even have sauerkraut or relish.
What?
or onions.
I
They got onions, right? They still got
maybe
that.
you might luck up and get some onions,
You got to be
but
kidding me.
I kid you not, that's gone the way of the
The
covered
dinosaur.
wagon.
Wow.
Okay, so when it comes to above ground ask for directions, yeah, I remember one time I got agitated because I don't know what the hell was going on that day. It's like I'm on Times Square. I think I was coming from shopping. Three people came up to me asking me for directions.
Huh.
And the first one, I was pleasant. The second one, I'm like, okay, what the fuck? The third one, I was like the police horse in Madagascar. Okay, I was like the police horse in Madagascar. You asked me directions. I just, and again, I don't understand with all this technology. What the
It
fuck you
doesn't
gotta
help.
ask me?
It doesn't help. The thing is, if you're walking and you're using GPS,
Right.
in my experience, in most major cities, New York, Philadelphia, Dallas, Atlanta, GPS is not helpful at all. Not at
No,
all. And a lot of times,
yeah, right. Yeah.
you think it's supposed to be like talking to you, like, take left, take a right turn, take since it don't be saying nothing. It's like a silent. It's like the most. It's like you sob, say something. What's the name of the?
Talk to me.
I'm at the corner, right? I'm at the corner. I could go like, 3 or 4 different directions, and you're not saying nothing. I cross the street. I cross back across the street. I'm in the middle
Damn
of the
you
street,
to hell.
and this device says nothing.
Well, I have another
Uh,
question for you all. I'm talking about that being above ground having to walk. There's an old, of course, stereotype about New York cabs, but are cabs then reliable? If you're above ground and you got to get somewhere,
What's the
you don't want
cab?
to take them for a ride. Are they reliable?
It depends. It depends on what cab you get. Okay. If it's a yellow cab, they'll get you where you gotta go. Just with the yellow cabs, I'm I'm kind of leery about that because they tend to speed.
Hmm.
They think that they're the Indy 500.
Really?
Okay, yeah, and also, well, that's for people coming from JFK or LaGuardia.
Hmm.
They like to pad the fare.
Right,
Take
But
the
right.
I
scenic,
don't.
take the scenic route, as they say.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Take the scene route. Um, you guys do know that now you have green cabs, right?
Mm-mm.
No,
What's
what's a
that?
green cab?
A green cab is a cab that it it just you could get it for like a flat rate, I guess,
Hmm.
but they're like banished to the outer boroughs.
Wow, what happened?
Why? Because the yellow cab drivers didn't like it because what it was everybody was trying to get a cab,
Hmm.
okay? And you have thousands of people applying to get those medallions.
Hmm.
At one point, cab medallions were those are the metal things that go on the hood
Hmm.
that lets the city know that they bona fide.
Yeah,
Um,
but
at
let
one
me
point,
quick interruption.
mhm.
Another failure by Trump. Remember, he cornered the market on getting a hack license.
ah,
Remember that?
and
Hmm.
yeah, and that screwed everything up because at one point a hack license was going for like close to $1 million.
It was a lot of
Wow.
money. He cornered the market, and then something came up. I think they called it Uber or Lyft or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
And
then it's
then
like,
they,
and then that
yeah,
shit, and then it became worth far less than it was before. Talking about losers. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So, and mind you, to counteract Lyft and Uber in New York City, you have what is called Curb. Curb is was created for the yellow taxi drivers, where you download the app to your phone, and instead of dealing with Lyft or Uber, you deal with them. Um, and really, the green cabs, I guess you could say, more or less replaced what we called the car services, or auto back in the day, the gypsy cab.
gypsy
The
cabs.
Gypsy Cat.
Yeah.
Remember Black
Oh my
Pearl?
God, Black Pearl.
Black Pearl, yeah.
We're not yellow. We go
We
anywhere.
go everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, boy,
Hmm.
that's a blast from the past. Black
Yeah.
Pearl. Yep. So with that, they pretty much know where they're going, and with now with the technology, they can at least at least the GPS will work in the car with them. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You know, but nah, I don't get it with all the technology.
Try,
And
try
it's
using it. The next time you're walking somewhere, you know where you're going. You know where you're going.
Right. Right.
Take out. Do you have a smartphone? You got your dumb phone still.
no, I guess you could call it semi smart, semi
Okay.
stupid.
Okay.
Neurotic is more like it.
They have GPS on it.
Yeah,
Okay. So you know where you're going. GPS your walk and see what it says. And if
Whether
you
it
follow
takes
it,
you to your destination.
your ass will be walking in the
Uh,
desert.
well, you see, I I kind of went down to Mississippi with Davy
Yeah.
Crockett,
Yeah.
No,
Jim
Exactly.
Bowie, and all I
yeah,
got to do is get in
it's
my
useless.
canoe and
Mm-hmm.
paddle to
It's the most.
Brooklyn. No,
It's the
I
most
see it.
useless techno. It's the most useless techno. Walking GPS
I
has to
see
be
it.
one of the most useless technologies.
It is because when I go to work and I get off the train, come up out the subway, all of these millennial,
Mm-hmm.
alpha generation Z, hipsters, gentrification people, they're walking around or they're standing on the corner trying to figure out where they are with their
Mm-hmm.
phone.
They'll never
Okay.
find out.
Yeah, because they'll end up asking somebody in the neighborhood. Just thank God that it's not you.
Yeah.
Not me. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay.
Because
This
if I see you staring at your phone, and then you're gonna ask me where Stuyvesant Avenue is, I'm gonna get you.
I know you're gonna say, okay, walk down Rockaway Avenue,
Yeah, walk. Yeah,
then
go
make a
down.
left and just
Go to left. Go to
walk
Lefferts Boulevard.
and then hit Petticoat Junction
Okay. All right.
and
And then take a left.
yeah.
and, then, and then I start walking away. And then, hey,
No. Oh yeah, need to stay away from you.
yeah. But
Yeah.
the thing is also it's like if I'm even when I was in New York, lived in I was in New York. If I would ask somebody who I knew by look and by the way they walked or the way they held themselves, whatever, they were a fellow New Yorker.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I said, and I was stupid enough to ask them for directions, right? Because I like got turned around or something, and they would give me some bullshit direction. I would look at them. I said, God damn, you just gave me some bullshit directions.
Uh-huh.
And I would keep walking. I gave me bullshit. I got to figure this out myself.
Well, my thing just said, again, I say, why ask me? I mean, why answer if you're going to give me some,
Because you don't want to
straight
appear to be
directions?
stupid. It's like you live near here. You live in this neighborhood. You don't know where a certain street is, and you live right here.
Nah, I don't do that. I don't know anything about that. I would no. I just say, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
No,
Yeah.
go
Well,
down Fulton Street and take a left.
again, that's so annoying with me. If I give you directions, if you stop me
Mhm.
and I'm giving you directions, then you're gonna say, "Well, that doesn't sound right. That's not what they said."
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are you asking me for in the first place?
Yeah, if you knew.
That Penelope's activities in New York when somebody asked her what time it was.
Oh, hush. Yeah.
Back in the day, somebody asked Penelope what's that, and know what Penelope did? Being a kind person, she stopped, looked at her watch, and told them what time it was. And I think
Actually,
Wow.
that's
I stopped and I looked at my watch and I was dragged down the street by this individual who
Oh
then
my goodness.
yelled back to the person what time it was. And then I had to be lectured over the next block over why it is that you don't look down at your watch when a stranger asks you what time it is.
so you stop. She stopped.
Right.
She looked down at her watch,
Right.
and she told them what time. And If I'm trying to rip, if I'm a bad person, you gave me so much information about doing what you're doing. Number one,
Well,
you stopped. Number one, you
yeah.
stopped. That means you're not from New York. Number
No,
two,
what?
you looked at your hold on. Number two, you
Yeah.
looked at your watch. That means you got to watch.
And look
You know.
down.
Number three, you look down, which means I could bop you in your head.
Hmm.
No, and nothing for nothing. You were right in doing what you did and pulling her away, but now you really don't have to worry about that because with again with technology, very
Everybody got
few
the
people,
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
and very few people walking around with watches.
yeah. Very
You
people.
know,
Hmm.
Yeah,
It-
but don't stop.
But you know
Somebody
what?
asked,
But a lot of people walk around like those Samsung, which called those what's called watches or Apple watches and stuff.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of people still
yeah.
walk around with those.
That's still
yeah.
that's true. That's true. But it's like Bronson and what's the name of that movie? Uh,
Death
that he
wish.
was Death Wish. He's like, hey man, you got the time? Yeah. What else you got?
Yeah. Okay.
try to,
Okay. All
try to
right.
whip
I
it
don't
out.
know if
Like one of the
for
most racist movies ever. But
oh yeah, yeah. The Death wish. It went from okay, the first one maybe, but after that, when it got to Death Wish, the crackdown,
yeah,
the crackdown, you know, yeah, boy. But
no. I
yeah,
mean, most people in New York are not like me. They're more like James. They would give you the right directions. They would stop. They would give you the right directions. And I would go to James is right. I would go to like maybe a corner store or something to ask if I
Really?
if I knew I was close or near my destination. If I was nowhere near my destination, like a totally different borough,
Right.
you got to go to I don't know, a central location maybe, or go down
Mm-hmm.
to the subway or a bus or something and find.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do in that case.
Right.
I don't know.
yeah,
Also,
yeah,
I would tell people based on the information provided to me on an earlier show by Otto and well, not Otto, James. James, the one. Be informed now. The one, do not fall asleep on the train. The two, do not die on the train.
Oh
yeah.
no!
No,
Basically,
no,
anything can happen to you.
Oh no!
Anything happen to you.
Appeared to die on the train.
Don't
yeah,
die on the train because that man, what happened to that person that died on the train? That's not good.
Did they catch
yeah,
the guy? Did they catch the guy who did it?
yeah. He turned to himself in, and it's funny because both the victim and the penetrator
Oh God!
Oh my lord.
get it perpetrator
Yeah,
Yeah, I
penetrator.
got
yeah.
it.
He
Yeah,
died.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. Okay. No, both of them had similar backstories. Um, Alcohol ruined both of their lives. They became alcoholics. They lost their jobs. Um, the gentleman that died, his wife hadn't seen him in like 4 years.
Wow.
Okay, and he pretty much what they said he was suffering from cirrhosis of the liver.
Do you know that
Me,
other person?
no, he didn't. He didn't.
Oh, you just
The,
see a person's body just sitting there on the tray. Hey, this is
This is my opportunity that I've been waiting
yeah,
for.
have at it.
yeah, and what it was the guy, the person that died. He asked for a cigarette from somebody. It was the R
Okay.
train overnight. He was smoking a cigarette. A lot of people left the car because of the smoke, and he
Mm,
basically expired
mm.
and fell on the floor on his stomach. This guy came in to the car. He was going through the guy's pockets, and then I, I guess he figured, well, since he's not responding, and I guess maybe I haven't had anything in a while.
He's a sexy corpse.
Yeah, So
That's it.
he what was it? I think he pulled down the man's pants. He got on top of him, and he would only stop when he saw it was people coming into the car.
What a nasty.
Then he propped the guy up in the seat and straddled him and performed oral sex on the guy,
You
or
know what? You know
rather,
what? If you came into a subway car and saw that, what is it? What would you do?
well, being that I've seen people have sex in the subway system before.
But this guy's dead.
Oh well, see, that's the whole thing. I wouldn't know whether he was dead or not. I would just go to the next car. No, I don't want to be part of that. That's just
Yeah.
like the time I told y'all, I think last year, about the black guy that wanted to have sex with the white guy and whatnot. Oh, and guess what? Guess what? Recently, a man raped another man on the subway yet again.
Okay, this guy wasn't dead.
No, this guy wasn't dead. It was some huge Arab-looking guy came upon this guy and asked him for money, and when the guy refused, he just have at it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know whether this subway is turned into Devil's
Right.
Island or
I don't know. But the thing is, that's one of the things I never thought could ever happen to me on the subway or a bus, or even in New York City at all. That I
yeah.
would be that I would be raped.
Well,
No.
you see, this is the thing. Okay, these things, two incidents have happened, but on the average,
Are you kidding? Don't
on the
talk that.
average, no, listen, on the average, those two incidents are just a drop in a very
Yeah.
big bucket. You have people don't understand.
A
You
big
have a
nasty
million.
bucket.
Okay, guys, let's say this. Oh, no, you're talking get rid of off which one, but we're getting down to like our last couple of minutes in the
Mhm.
show. So I wanted to just to thank you all for joining us. We go back more of your who does what to who
Or
in
if you
the
if you know
train at a later
Penelope,
time.
Penelope,
Huh?
if you need directions, don't ask anybody who's going to rape you.
Yes, I would say that's a good thing. The good piece of advice. Don't
And
ask people trying to
yeah,
rape
this,
you
this,
for directions,
this,
especially directions to your house, because they're like, come there.
Can
So
you tell
don't
me how to
ask
get
them.
home?
Yeah.
just ask them, do they know where to find Herkimer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, but I know where to go to Costco.
Okay, get a Costco and a Herkimer. There we go.
Cusco.
Cusco, yeah. All right, y'all. But thank you again, Otto, and thank you, James. It has been instructive. It has been fun. We'll be back again next week here with the Urbane Prospectors of Gotham. We'll see you all then. Take care of yourselves and good day.
Bye bye.